This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students, good evening. I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. So today we are moving to a new chapter. Chapter 7, 7th chapter, Evolution. Okay, so this is a new chapter, Evolution. And in this you have to learn about how this evolution, how it happened and the gradual development, all these things you have to learn. Okay, so what is the meaning of this word evolution? What do you mean by that? Evolution means the gradual development of something. Okay, so it's evolving, like that we used to say, it's evolving. That means gradually it's not a sudden change. Slowly it is happening. So the slow change, slow and steady change, that is called as evolution. So the gradual development of something, that is called as evolution. So evolution is a very slow process and it is a gradual process. Okay, slow and gradual process. And by this process, different kind of living organisms, they have developed from earlier forms. So generally we can say like this about evolution. So from the previous forms or the earlier forms, so many organisms have evolved. They have got so much of changes, or so many changes are there in their structure and behavior, everything. So like that, by the process of different kinds of changes, that also gradually it is happening. So by this process, so many living organisms have developed from the earlier forms. Okay, in historical period, they were having different forms, or structurally, or you can say, see in this picture itself, you can see the gradual development. Earlier it was like this. From that, slowly all changes happen, and modern human being, you can see here, modern Homo sapiens. Okay, so you can see like that the gradual process. It took years, so many years, million of years it took. Okay, so on Earth, like that, gradual changes happen, and from earlier forms they developed a lot. Okay, all the organisms. So all biological theories behind this, that shows various types of plants, then animals, and all other type of organism on Earth. They have their origin in some other pre-existing types. Okay, so many organisms have evolved from the pre-existing types. Earlier they were in some other forms. So from that, so many organisms have evolved, and we have biological theories behind this, which is showing this gradual evolution. Okay, so in successive generation, in their coming generations or next generation, they got several modifications. So here in this picture, you can see here it's like that. In the first picture you can see, and from that to the second, third, fourth, and fifth one, here they were able to stand. Here they were able to walk. Okay, so there is a gradual change. It took millions of years to get that advanced characters. Here, advanced characters that took so many years. Like that, not only in human being, in all type of organism, in plants, everything you can see such kind of gradual changes. So, evolutionary biology, that is the study of history of this kind of different forms of organisms. Okay, and their process of that evolution. We can learn in evolutionary biology what we can learn, the study of history, the past. We need to learn how was this organism in the past and how the gradual changes happen, all these changes, how it came to this way, or how that organism crossed all these way, and now what is the status, current status of that organism, whether it is existing or it's not there, or what and all developments or advancement in their characters or their structure, what and all advancement in that character, in their in that particular organism, everything happens. That and all we can study in evolutionary biology. So that process of evolution on Earth, that we can learn in evolutionary biology. In all type of organisms, the evolutionary biology means the study of history of this type of different forms of organism and their process of evolution. That is called as evolutionary biology. In evolutionary biology, we can learn about these kind of things. So what we can understand through evolution? What idea we are getting through this evolution, or what we can understand from this? The changes of plants and animals and all other type of organisms that have occurred on Earth over million years ago. That took so many years for these kind of changes. Okay. So you know that now itself, to make simple changes from one generation to next generation, that itself taking that one generation time it's taking, right? So think about these many changes from the previous or the billion years ago, how it was and now how it is. For that change, definitely that would have taken million of years, right? So definitely we should have some idea about origin of life now. By now we hope you understood the concept of evolution. So we need to learn in detail about the theories and what and all experiment people conducted to prove about all these steps in evolution. So let's learn about origin of life. So in this chapter, there is nothing much confusing. Just you have to learn about the few theories, then about some scientists and their experiments and all. So that's all. Then the similarities between some organism, how these organisms are showing some kind of similarities from the previous generation, and what kind of changes they brought into this generation, or what and all changes they have in current generation. Like that, some points you have to learn. Okay, so there is nothing much confusing ideas in this. So let's start about origin of life. So you know that origin of life, from where this life originated. All of you know that stars, you know about stars. Stars and all, that journey that started million years back, right? Then the origin of life, that is a unique event. Okay, in the history of universe, it's a unique event, the origin of life. And universe is very big. So compare the universe, that Earth, our Earth is like it's a small spot, right? Earth is a very small spot compared to universe. So universe, it is almost 20 billion years old. Universe is around 20 billion years old. So in universe, we have huge clusters of galaxies, right? So in this galaxy, in the universe, huge clusters of galaxies are there. And in this galaxy consists of all the clouds, stars, dust, all type of gases, everything. Galaxy includes all the types of clouds, stars, gas, dust, all this, including everything, it is called as galaxy. And hope you have heard about Big Bang theory. Okay, so the Big Bang theory, that explains mainly about the origin of life. Big Bang theory explains the origin of life. Mainly it is explaining the origin of life. So according to this Big Bang theory, universe originated about 20 billion years ago. Okay, According to that Big Bang theory, universe originated about 20 billion years ago. And how that was originated? Universe. So there was a due to a thermonuclear explosion of dense entity. Due to that, okay, there was a thermonuclear explosion. A thermonuclear explosion happened, and this single huge explosion, that was the very huge explosion, and this is unimaginable. You cannot imagine such an explosion in physical terms. You can't imagine. So it is called as Big Bang. Okay, there was a huge explosion, and that is called as Big Bang. Okay, then after that, universe expanded, and due to that expansion, temperature came down. First, it was the thermonuclear explosion. You can imagine how it will be. That thermonuclear explosion means that the temperature will be very high. Then, after this explosion, universe expanded. Slowly, universe expanded. See, this is not 1 or 2 days process. That took years to complete. Okay, slowly all this universe expanded and the temperature came down. The level of the temperature that slowly came down. So due to this thermonuclear explosion, all that gaseous clouds and all formed. Okay, due to that explosion, gaseous clouds formed. So these clouds got condensed and they formed disc-like structures. They are called as nebula. These disc-like structures, it is called as nebula. Okay. So this was made up of small particles. This nebula was made up of small particles and atoms. Okay. So like that, our solar system that also formed from solar nebula. That's what I want to tell. So first, Big Bang theory. You have to learn about Big Bang theory in this one. So for NEET exam, you will get very few questions from this. About Big Bang theory, you may get questions. Then you may get questions from the comparison between similarity of these organs, like we'll tell homologous organ, analogous organ, like that. Some terms are there in this chapter. So like that, few questions you'll get for your NEET exam. Okay. So for your board exam, this Big Bang theory, such questions will be there. So about Big Bang theory, then few scientists' name and their experiments. Such kind of things you have to learn from this. So universe. What is Big Bang theory? Big Bang theory, that is explaining about origin of life, how life got originated. That is explained in this theory. So according to that theory, universe originated about 20 billion years ago. Okay. And how that originated? Due to a thermonuclear explosion that got originated. That thermonuclear explosion. After an explosion, how it will be? The temperature will be very high. This is like you cannot imagine such an explosion. Thermonuclear explosion. So universe expanded after that explosion, and in such a slow process, as the expansion increased, the temperature came down. Slowly the temperature came down, and due to this thermonuclear explosion, formation of gaseous clouds that happened. Formation of gaseous clouds. Then those clouds got condensed. There was a condensation or condensed clouds formed, and they formed a disc-like structure. This disc-like structure, it is called as nebula. Okay. Those disc-like structures were called as nebula, and nebula was made up of small particles and atoms. Okay. Note down these nebula, and it is made up of atoms and some small particles. And our solar system, that is also formed from solar nebula. Such kind of MCQs you should note down from this area. Okay. Then the central part of that solar nebula, we said about solar nebula, right? So the central part of that solar nebula that became more hot. Okay, that central portion. Thermonuclear explosion happened, and from that the temperature slowly came down and gaseous cloud formation happened, and those things, the cloud formation, that clouds condensed and they formed nebula, right? And in solar nebula, that central part, it was so hot and that was more hot, and they converted into, and that central part got converted into sun. Okay. So due to that condensation of particle, slowly other sides also the same procedure, that condensation started. So that formed other planets. So central part, the core part was more hot, and that formed sun, right? And other planets, how it got formed in other parts also, other portions also, this condensation procedure continued, and from that other planets formed. So this is Big Bang theory. So origin of life is considered a unique event in the history of universe, and universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. Okay. Then huge cluster of galaxies that comprise the universe, and Big Bang theory. Big Bang theory explains about the origin of universe. So it talks of a singular huge explosion which is unimaginable. In physical terms, it is an unimaginable huge explosion. And after that, the universe expanded, and due to that expansion, the temperature, as the expansion continued, the temperature came down. So hydrogen and helium, these formed sometimes later. Okay, after some time, hydrogen and helium formed, and this gaseous forms, hydrogen, helium, such things and such gases are formed, and all these condensed under gravitation and form the galaxies of the present day universe. Okay, so in between I mentioned about nebula and how sun got formed, and how other planets formed. So the gaseous condensation that made the cloud-like structure, and they form nebula. That nebula, it's made up of small particles and atoms, note down such things, and hydrogen and helium that form. Then gases condensed under gravitation. Under gravitation, these gaseous forms got condensed, and they form the galaxies of the present universe. So in that, our solar system, that is formed from solar nebula, and the hot central portion that converted into sun, and same condensation procedure, condensation of particles, that led to the formation of other planets also. Got it? And next, in the solar system, of Milky Way galaxy, okay, in that Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Okay, Earth that have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. Okay, and there was no atmosphere in the early time, or in the early Earth there was no atmosphere, and this atmosphere, when it formed, atmosphere and all formed later. Okay, earlier there was no atmosphere. And so in the solar system, That Milky Way galaxy and Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. Okay, and on early Earth there was no atmosphere, and carbon dioxide, ammonia, then methane, water vapor, all these they released from molten mass. They covered the surface. So there was no atmosphere. So water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia released from molten mass that covered the surface. Got it? Then UV rays. UV rays from the sun. Okay, now the central portion, I said central portion that formed the sun. So the UV rays from the sun that broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So UV rays from the sun, UV rays started coming, and this UV rays broke up the water into hydrogen and oxygen, and lighter hydrogen that got escaped. Okay. So oxygen, then hydrogen and oxygen formed now. UV rays broke up water, and after breaking up, hydrogen and oxygen got formed. Okay. This oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water, carbon dioxide, and some other material. Okay. So oxygen, that oxygen which is released from water, that combined with ammonia, and that formed methane. Methane to form water and carbon dioxide and some other gaseous forms. Then ozone layer formed. After that, ozone layer formation. Ozone layer was formed, and when it got cooled, this ozone layer got cooled. That time, water vapor, these water vapor fell as rain. So that is the starting of rain. When ozone layer formation happened, and that ozone layer got cooled, and when it got cooled, the water vapor fell as rain. So to fill all this depression, and they formed the ocean. Like that, water vapor fell as rain to fill all the depressions and form ocean. So that's how oceans form. So this shows, in this theory, the explanation of step by step how this universe, how everything got formed. Okay. So that is Big Bang theory. You can, all these points you can note down, and you can write the same thing for the explanation of Big Bang theory. Then ozone layer, now we are talking about the ozone layer that formed, and when it got cooled, water vapor fell as rain, and that filled the depression and formed ocean. Okay. Then life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth. Okay. When the Earth formed, that time there was no life. Got it? So after 500 million years, life appeared on Earth. Okay. So the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. Then, on early Earth, there was no atmosphere, and water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia released from molten mass that covered the surface. Okay. Then, this UV rays from the sun. From sun, UV rays started coming, and these UV rays from the sun that broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen, and this formed hydrogen and oxygen, and from that oxygen that combined with ammonia and methane and formed water, carbon dioxide, etc. Then next was ozone layer formation. Okay, how ozone layer was formed, and when it got cooled, that water vapor, after cooling, that water vapor fell as rain, and that formed ocean. Okay, and life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth. Okay, when Earth formed, there was no life on Earth. Then life appeared after 500 million years. Then from where this life came? Life came from outer space. Is it? And so, you know, some scientists, they believe that this life came from outside. And the Greek thinkers and all, they were thinking like the unit of life. They called it as force. Okay, these came from some other planets. Okay, they were transferred into, they came from space, like from outside somewhere, and they got transferred into different planets, including Earth. They got transferred into different planets. Like that, Greek early thinkers from Greek, they were thinking like that. Okay, and they called the unit of life as spores. They called Greek thinkers, earlier Greek thinkers called the unit of life as spores. Okay, and they thought that it came somewhere from outside, from outer space, and they got transferred to different planets, like Earth to different planets. This life got transferred. Okay, so for a long time they were believing like that life came from outside, and afterwards they started believing that there was a belief like that life came from decaying matter or this rotten matter, like how it is getting decayed. So in that kind of things that life appeared. So they thought like that, like mud, straw, in such things and all, like decaying matter, life appeared first. Like that, some people started thinking. So that was the belief for some time. And that theory, it's like from that rotten matter, life appearing, in that they made like a theory of spontaneous generation. Okay, spontaneous generation. Suddenly, spontaneously that life is generating in that. So through that it is getting decayed. Like that one belief was there for some time. Okay, first they thought it was coming from space somewhere and it is getting transferred to all planets. So some people were believing, for some time they were believing like that. And later they thought it is a spontaneous generation. So that's why the rotten like straw, mud, such things and all getting decayed. So that was next they started believing like that. And after some more years, Louis Pasteur, through his experiment, he proved that life comes only from pre-existing life. Okay, he is the scientist who proved life comes only from the pre-existing life. Okay, so Louis Pasteur is the one who proved life is coming only from pre-existing life. Okay, so how he proved? Through his experiment. Through his experiment, he demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. And for that, he conducted an experiment. So he showed a pre-sterilized flask, a flask which is pre-sterilized, which is sterilized before the experiment. In that, life did not come from killed yeast. Okay. In that sterilized, pre-sterilized flask, the flask which is sterilized before that experiment, in that dyed yeast, kept dyed yeast. And there, life did not come in that. In another flask which he kept in open air, there also he kept killed yeast. Okay, but in that open, the flask which is open to air, in that new living organism came. Okay, so through that experiment, he proved that spontaneous generation theory that was wrong. Okay, so that's how he proved that spontaneous generation theory is wrong. Okay. So up to his experiment, Louis Pasteur experiment, people were believing that it's a spontaneous generation. Life is like a spontaneous, origin of life is like a spontaneous generation. Okay. So Louis Pasteur, through his experiment, he was the person who demonstrated that life comes only from the pre-existing life. Okay. So how he proved? So that he kept two flasks. In one flask, he kept killdees and he kept two flasks. One was pre-sterilized flask. In that, he showed killdees. Okay. And that was closed flask. And next one. In next flask, he kept killdees, but he kept it open. Another flask, he kept open. Okay. And this, in the second one, which he kept open, in that another organisms came. But in the first flask, there was no life, and that did not come from killdees. There is no life, nothing in that flask, because first it got sterilized, then they closed it. Right? So there is no entry of other organism, only that killdees is there. But in second one they kept it open and there was no pre-sterilization. So there was a pre-existing life in that. Or otherwise, only that killdees will be there in second one also. So he proved that life comes only from pre-existing life. Okay. So after this experiment of Louis Pasteur, spontaneous generation theory was dismissed. Okay. People came to know that that is a wrong theory. Okay. And that concept is completely wrong. Like that, they accepted Louis Pasteur's theory. Life comes only from pre-existing life. Then, next one. Then another scientist, a parrot of Russia. He's from Russia, and Haldane from England. He proposed that first form of life, these both scientists proposed, first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules. Okay. First in the starting, life could have come from pre-existing, that is also pre-existing. Okay. But pre-existing non-living organic molecules. What do you mean by non-living organic molecule? Like RNA, protein and all. That is organic molecule, but non-living organic molecule. And that formation of life, that was preceded by chemical evolution. And that formation of life was preceded by chemical evolution. Okay. And after that, that is followed by chemical evolution. So first, the two scientists, Oparin of Russia and Haldane of England, these both proposed that first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living organic molecules. Okay. Non-living organic molecules in the sense RNA and protein. So that formation of life, that was preceded by chemical evolution. That means the formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. Okay, that is a point to be noted in that, the formation of diverse organic molecules from what? From inorganic constituents. So in the starting stage, that on Earth, what was the condition? High temperature, then volcanic storms reducing atmosphere containing methane, ammonia, etc. Okay. So that was the starting stage condition of Earth. So in the starting stage, high temperature, volcanic storms, then atmosphere, reducing atmosphere that contained methane and ammonia. This was the condition in the starting stage. Then later in 1953, it is in 1953, okay, 1953, S.L. Miller, is an American scientist and he created similar condition. So he tried to prove this through experiment. He created similar condition in a lab. Okay. So in a laboratory setup, he made all these conditions. Like he created electric discharge. Here you can see electric discharge. This experiment, you should learn all this experiment. This is there for your board exam. So learn this. In 1953, Miller's experiment, how he proved all these things. So American scientist Miller, S.L. Miller, he is an American scientist. He created all this similar condition in a lab and he created electric discharge. Here in this picture you can see electric discharge in a closed flask. This is a closed flask. In that he created electric discharge and that flask, this flask contains methane. This contains methane, hydrogen, then ammonia and water vapor. Here CH4, methane, ammonia, water and hydrogen. Okay, this is water vapor. So all this is present in the flask and then analysis of meteorite content. That is also revealing that same like this some procedure or process it is happening somewhere in the space. It is like this things are occurring. So with this all this limited evidence, the first part like how the chemical evolution happened, all this he tried to prove. So Miller's experiment, how he the diagrammatic representation of Miller's experiment, you have to learn this diagram and how he tried to prove that the chemical evolution. Okay, how he tried to prove the chemical evolution on Earth. So in 1953, S.L. Miller, an American scientist, he created all similar conditions in a laboratory state. Okay, he created electric discharge in a closed flask and that closed flask was having methane, hydrogen, ammonia and water vapor. And what was the temperature? It is 800 degree. Okay, so at 800 degree, water vapor at 800 degree, and he observed the formation of amino acid. What he observed? He observed the formation of amino acid. And the similar experiment, some other people observed the similar experiment. They observed the formation of sugar, nitrogen bases, then pigment and fats. Okay, so analysis of meteorite content, that also revealed similar compounds that indicating the similar process. These processes are occurring elsewhere in space. Okay, so with this limited, all these limited evidences, that chemical evolution was accepted. So how chemical evolution happened on Earth? That was accepted with this, almost with this experiment, they tried to explain the chemical evolution. Got it? So with the experiment, you have to learn. Then, so we have now we don't have any idea about how the first self-replicating metabolic capsule of life, how it came. Okay, we don't have any idea about that, how that self-replicating form or that metabolic form, like how that DNA and all, self-replicating DNA and all form. We don't have any idea about that now. So the first non-cellular form of life. First non-cellular form of life, that means this RNA, protein, polysaccharide and all, how this non-cellular form, without cell, that form, how that originated 3 billion years back. Okay, so the origin of that non-cellular forms of life before 3 billion years ago. And these capsules, they reproduce their molecules. So the first cellular form of life, that was, or that first cellular form, that may be, or that were probably single cells. There is a chance that may be single cells. Okay. So all life forms, they were in water. Okay. All these life forms, they were in water, like that. This and all, some kind of gas. Okay. So the first form of life that arose slowly through that evolutionary process, and how it formed from non-living molecules, and this is accepted by majority of people. So the first non-cellular forms of life would have originated 3 billion years back. So all these evidences that is leading to a conclusion that life would have originated 3 billion years back, and they would have been giant molecules like RNA, protein, polysaccharide, like that. It was that may be giant molecule. So the first cellular form of life that did not possibly originated till about 2000 million years ago. Okay, cellular form of life that did not possibly originate. These are all some kind of possibilities based on these evidences and all. They are making some guess. So that originated till about 2000 million years ago. Okay. These were probably single cells. There is no multicellular organism that may be probably single cells. So all life forms were in water environment only. Okay. First life originated in water, like that we are saying. So this version of biogenesis, origin of life, that is first form of life arose slowly through evolutionary forces from non-living molecules. That is, this point is accepted by majority of people. Okay, so life originated, and that was first form of life that slowly originated through evolutionary forces. With the help of evolutionary forces that originated from non-living molecules. First life originated from non-living molecules. So this is accepted by people, majority of people. Okay. Then that in religious literatures, that those kind of literatures tells about the special creations. Okay, we know that the religious literature and all, they were saying about they explains about special creations. So the theory that has 3 connotations. Okay, this religious literature, those theories, that explains 3 connotations. So one, that all living organism or species or types that we see today were created as such. Okay, in one, they are saying that all organisms, which and all organisms we can see today, that those organisms are created as such. So such beliefs are there. And second one, that the diversity was always the same since creation, and that will be the same in future also. So the diversity, we are able to see diversity in organisms. So that diversity was always there. Like it was there when life originated. Since that time, that diversity is there, and in future also it will be like that. And third says that this earth is about 4,000 years old. Okay. And the third point that says that the earth that is around 4,000 years old. So all these ideas all these ideas, see all these based on this evolutionary history, when we are thinking about all these things, all these ideas are exactly challenging, right? So these ideas are challenging. Then, based on observations made during a sea voyage in a sail ship called HMS Beagle. HMS Beagle, around the world, Charles Darwin concluded that existing living forms share similarities to varying degrees, not only among themselves but also with life forms that existed millions of years ago. Okay. So Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, he made a sea voyage and in the ship HMS Beagle. Around the world, he made a sea voyage, and according to that, Charles Darwin concluded that all the so many organisms are present today. So those organisms, those living or existing living forms, they have similarities. So all the organisms have similarities. And that degree of similarity that varies. It depends. And not among themselves, but those organisms have similarities with the pre-existing ones also, or that form that existed million years ago. So long back the organism existed, and that organism and the organism which are present today or nowadays which are not present, or the existing living form, they have similarities. So those present million years ago, those existed million years ago, and the existing, currently existing living forms, those have similarities. Like that, Charles Darwin concluded. And the organism, the existing organism, definitely they will be having similarities because they are living in the present condition. But those existed millions of years ago, those organisms also having similarity with the existing one. Like that, Charles Darwin concluded. So many such life forms do not exist anymore. Okay, so those existed million years ago. Such forms are not present. Nowadays, it's not present. But still, that shows similarities. So, there have been extinction of different life forms in the years gone by just as new forms of life arose at different periods of history of Earth. So, how he concluded that point? So, there was so many life forms got extinct, right? Like dinosaur and all, you know, dinosaur, mammoth, such things are not there. Now you can't see on Earth, right? So such forms are not there now. But so many forms got that extinction. In different stages of life, they got that extinction. So different life forms in the years gone by just as new forms of life arose. And new ones, so many new organisms also formed. Right? So during different periods, all these changes happened in the history of Earth. So there has been gradual evolution of life forms. So that gradual changes, that evolution of life forms happened. Okay. So during all these years, there was changes of life forms. So that changes, that he mentioned as evolution. Okay. Then according to Darwin, fitness, see, some organisms will exist and some organisms they'll get extincted. So that fitness, how those forms which are existing now, that existence, that is called as fitness. So the fitness, according to Darwin, that fitness means reproductive fitness. So Darwin refers the fitness as reproductive fitness. So those who are better fit, those organisms which is having a better fitness in that current or in that particular environment, those organisms will survive. Okay, those organisms can survive. Those having more fitness or which one is fit to that present or current environment, those can survive. And those cannot survive, those will disappear from this earth. Okay, that's how he tried to conclude his findings. So, fitness, according to Darwin, fitness refers the reproductive fitness. So, hence, those who are better fit in an environment, they leave more progeny than others. So compared to other organisms, those who are better fit or the best organisms, those who are for which one then all conditions are matching, they will survive. So they can produce more progeny compared to the other ones. They can produce more progeny. So their number will increase, right? So therefore it will survive more and hence are selected by nature. So that's what the natural selection. He is saying about the natural selection. Those who can survive more, those are selected by nature because they can survive. So it is matching for that nature. So they can survive and they can produce more progenies. So he called this selection. This is the natural selection and that is the mechanism of evolution. According to him, that is the mechanism of evolution. How it will get evolved? See, if one can't survive with the current food and the atmospheric condition and all, that will die. So the one which is existing, that is selected by the nature. Other one is killed by nature itself, that got killed because that cannot survive. Okay, so that cannot produce more progenies. The survived one will produce more progenies and that will pass to the next generation, right? So that organism will survive. So he called this as natural selection and that is the mechanism of evolution. Then Alfred Wallace is a naturalist and he also came to the same conclusion. Okay, around the same time, they were around the same time, this Darwin and Alfred Wallace, around the same time, they both concluded in the same way. Got it? They made the same conclusion. Then, okay, this evidences of, up to this, you have any doubt? Is it clear? Because this evidences of evolution, we have to explain with so many examples. So it will take more time. So do you have any doubt up to this? It's clear? So hope it's clear up to this. Just go through this portion. So next class, we'll explain about the evidences for evolution with so many examples. That topic is a bit important compared to these things. With so many examples, we need to explain all those things. So hope up to this everything is clear. Okay, thank you.